Hey, what's up everybody? Thanks for clicking on the video. This is David Pendleton and now I'm covering the Golf Clash Deep Sea Tournament. This is the 9-hole cup Pro Division qualifying round. So I found this one quite difficult, to be honest. I picked up one drop on hole number 1 and then, as usual, left a whole bunch of balls sitting right at the cup on quite a few holes. So the good news is, if we can make some small tweaks and talk through those, you ought to be able to pick those up and at least get yourself to, that minus, 14, minus 15 rounds. So let's start here with hole number 1. Hole number 1, we play 0% at max. We're getting a very favorable wind angle here in a tailwind. So we're just going to go with the Katana. It's all that we really need. And we're going to go 2 bars of side spin to the left. And you're going to notice here the top spin, we're going to be pretty tame on the top spin. Okay, so 2 bars to the top, 2 bars to the left, combined with 4 top. That's all that we need. We don't want to push this drive too hard, as we don't want to accidentally catch a push and roll into the rough on the top hand side of that fairway there. If we execute this drive and we pull correctly, it will leave us for a really nice shot here for the second shot. And then, of course, it really comes down to hitting perfect whenever you're going for these rough bump drops, or any drop for that matter. So shot number 2, you're going to see we're going to play this one 0% at minimum. I played both of these shots at 0, the drive and shot number 2. I'm going to go with 1 bar of top spin. As you can see, I'm a little bit short to the hole, and I'm going to go 1 bar of side spin to the left. And then I wiggle my target around until I got a good consistent ball guide line. Then, like I said, I'm going to play it 0% at minimum. You see I've got the ball guide line going through the back of the cup. And make sure you don't accidentally underpower your shot as well. You have to keep in mind that we are pulling from a higher point to a lower point. And you can see here that 1 bar of side spin to the left really helps keep that ball guide line going towards the center of the cup. And the top spin gives us the power to push through the rough and get our speed towards the pin once it comes out of that rough bump. Hole number 2, we're going to play this one, no moving target, 20% at minimum distance, using a Kingmaker here since we do have a headwind. I'm going to go with right around 3.2 bars of backspin, and you see here I'm adjusting my side spin until I get to a particular point. And we'll try to figure out what that point is. Take a look at the dark green square. You'll notice where the hole is. The hole's in a light green square. To the right of the hole is a dark green square. You can see that the end of my ball guide line is pushing through the bottom right-hand corner of that dark green square and then moving past towards the pin, like past the pin. So, this one's a little bit hard to gauge because some of these greens is really difficult to get a good look at the dark green and light green squares, which is what I like to use. But I think you got a pretty good look at it there. And now you're going to see what happens with this shot. Perfect ball, so that means we get to at least learn what we need to do differently. So this one, obviously, we just need to add some more side spin to the left. So I would probably add, about what, maybe point. Let's take a look at it here. So we're aiming over here. I like the no moving target in this wind scenario. We played at 1.5. I would go like 1.9 bars. I wouldn't go a full 2 left spin. I would leave a little bit off of it and see how that shot comes in. Hole number 2 has always been a hard drop, but I do think a little bit of tweaks and you can get it there. Now we move on to hole number 3. Hole number 3, we don't like getting a little bit of headwind here, so we're just going to go ahead and lay up 2 bars of side spin to the left. And you'll see the top spin here at 4. So 4 top, 2 left. Then for me, I put my transparent ring right here on the rough line, as you see. So my entire white ring is in the rough line. The transparent line is right up on the rough line. I make my elevation pull. I take a normal shot here with no overpower. And this one comes up really nicely as well. This will take us into shot number two. Shot number two, I do suggest you bring your most powerful wood club, whether it's going to be your big dog, your cataclysm, whatever it may be. Now this is going to be a harder shot to pick up an alba on because of, again, an aggressive headwind angle. It's blowing from right to left. It's the opposite way of what we need. But you'll see here that all we have to do is just use this little fairway circle landing pad to power ourselves onto the green and at least get us close enough to take an eagle on a tougher hole. You can see here a little bit more speed, and who knows what would have happened. So very close there, but that's not one that you're going to be able to do much tweaking on to get that one dialed in to drop. This is kind of be just a matter of a luck of a draw, whether that one goes in for you or not. We're just taking hole number 3 as an eagle though, and then we move on to hole number 4. Hole number 4, we're going to play at 25% at absolute minimum distance. Again, kingmaker here because of the headwind. And then we'll kind of look at the setup spot. Now, what I like about this one is the setup spot's pretty easy to find because you're able to play it at absolute minimum distance of our club. And you're going to see the first thing that I do when the game starts. Let me get back here. I move my target down till I'm at minimum, and I have almost all of my red ring on the fairway, just a little bit of it in the rough, and then I apply my spins. As you'll see here, we're going about 1.3 back, and then as far as the side spin goes, it's about 0.2, okay? So about 1.2 back, and then 0.2 to the right. Now, this is only 5.3 mile per hour wind. This is a little low. It's actually very low for pro. So if you were to get a higher wind, you might want to reduce the backspin a little bit and play less backspin, like maybe 1 bar of backspin. But take a look at this with this spin adjustment here. Speed is pretty good, comes in a little bit light, but it comes in right at the pin. Just a little bit to the left-hand side. So again, if you get a similar wind angle there and wind mile per hour, all you'd have to do is add a little bit more right side spin and maybe just take a smidge of the backspin off, and we could be looking at a pretty good chance here for the hole-in-one on hole number 4. Takes us to hole number 5. Hole number 5 here, I did not play well, okay? I was looking to get this ball over to the right-hand side of the fairway with a rock, 3 top with 3 right. And, I've played it this way in the past. I have replays of playing it this way in the past. And just for some reason, I don't know what happened to me. On both of my accounts, I just did not make good drives. I think one mistake that I do here on my pull is, instead of pulling the rings, I should have flipped the camera around the other way and pushed my rings. You saw there that I got really distorted when I got into the sand. But the good news is I made it from fairway to fairway. The only thing I didn't get was the distance. I would rather got farther up. 305 is a little bit too light on this hole. Now, it's going to take us into the next shot, in which we normally want to make sure that we bring a club that has good topspin because the rough bump is pretty far here. So we bring the Hornet, we bring the Runner. Those are going to be your clubs of choice whenever you need topspin. I like the Hornet more because it's more accurate, and it has a better ball guideline too. Just for me, I just have to go super into the rough here because I didn't get enough yards. And then you see that I actually pull into my Goliath. So I have to back up even more and go full topspin. And when we get ourselves this entrenched into the rough, it can become just a little bit of a wild card on what's going to happen with the ball. But still, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a good-looking shot. It just needs some tweaks, and you'll be a lot better off there on hole number 5. This will take you to hole number 6, in which we get great wind. All we need is a Titan ball, and I'm going to go with 2 bars of side spin to the left with 6 bars of top spin. Even though I have an extra mile level 9, I'm not going to use all of that top spin. I'm going to tame it down a little bit because I do like to play the second shot here with a sniper. Now, if you wanted to, you could, of course, go full top. You can see here that I'm using almost full controlled overpower. You could really slam this ball really far up the second fairway, and that's going to leave you with a grizzly shot for shot number 2. But for me, you know, I like the sniper shot better over the Grizzly here. I'm going to play this 10% at minimum, and you can see here that even though I only use 6 bars of top spin, I still am pretty close to the Grizzly shot. 2 bars of side spin to the left combined with 6 bars of back spin. You'll take a look at the offset position here. I got my yellow ring on the rough line, and then I'm offsetting about 1 green square to the left-hand side of the hole. I pulled it 10% at minimum. You see here I hit a perfect ball. And even with the offset and the side spin, I still come in about 3/4 of a green square to the right, and the speed is pretty good. So I like that shot. We need to just move this over to the left-hand side a little bit more. A Kingmaker would, of course, be a benefit for shot number 2 because you get that extra side spin so that you don't have to play a really dangerous shot to the rough. There is a rough bump here on this hole as well. For me, I've never been good at finding the consistency of getting a good roll to pin, which is why I go with the bounce shot. Of course, rough bumps are always better. They're always a preferred option. So if you want to tinker around with this hole to find a good consistent ball guideline to pin, tailwind is a good chance to try that shot. But for me, a 9-hole cup, I didn't want to go through a ton of practice tokens trying to get that one figured out. Now we go to hole number 7. Hole number 7, we play 10% at max. I apply my spins first, and then I look for the landing spot. 1 bar of side spin to the right combined with 1 bar back. For me, I'm putting my yellow ring on the rough line here, and you're going to notice there's a pretty significant offset here to the right-hand side of the cup. You can see which vertical row of dark green squares I'm playing in. This is a huge offset for sure. This hole typically always requires that. I do believe that even with this big of an offset, I believe I still come into the left-hand side of the hole. But if I can remember correctly, I believe the speed was really good. Yeah, the speed's going to be great. But we just skimmed the left-hand side of the hole, so we need to move that one over a fraction to the right, and that provides us with another really good opportunity for a hole in one. So you can see here that even though I only dropped hole number 1, several replays being left right at the pin, situations that you might be able to drop these for sure. All right, then hole number 8. Hole number 8, again, not one that I played to my best of my ability. But I was also rushed today. Like I said, I had to play on my lunch break at work. So, you know, I didn't have time to sit here and practice and do other things that I wanted to do just because I wanted to get the content out at a decent time instead of having to wait till late tonight, you know, or worst case scenario, tomorrow, which isn't really that effective on a 9-hole cup. So did my best that I could in a limited amount of time with a heavy work day today because, of course, my real job always comes first. But here, you know, I clipped the rough when I rolled out. That's not what I was going for. That's not what my ball guideline played, but I didn't sit there and take the time to figure out how many rings of OP I needed to go into. It's going to be with shot number 2. I did pack a Goliath just in case that happened because I do like the power of the club. And as you can see, I had my Hornet in the bag too, just in case I was able to get to the rough bump because this is, again, a long rough bump, which we need a Hornet or a runner for. This one, I just don't pull enough rings. You'll see what you need to do to make the difference here. I pulled this one around minimum distance. I suggest that you pull it around mid. You just kind of have to gauge where you're at on your own club here. But you'll see that the speed is good. But again, you know, I just didn't pull it enough to get this ball to pin because I'm going to come in on the right-hand side. But again, speed good. It's not that far off. Again, if I'd have just added mid-distance elevation instead of around minimum distance, would have been closer to the drop on hole number 8. And that brings us into hole number 9, in which we play 10% at max. For me, you know, I just typically always try to go bombs away on this hole unless it's headwind. You know, you don't have to have the max top spin of the extra mile 9 to pull this shot off. Typically where people make mistakes on this hole is where they try to add curl to the shot. For me, you know, I'm basically just going straight up at the hole, just baby right curl. But I did not push back up to max. I just went with full top spin and a little bit of curl, full overpower. And you can see here that the extra top spin of the extra mile 9, you know, gives me a little bit of a boost. But I've been playing that shot, you know, ever since a long time ago with extra miles, 6s and 7s in pro. And as long as we use that berserker, we're typically good. We don't like this angle here at all on the headwind. I did take a little bit more of an aggressive shot here by bouncing over. Typically not a very favorable thing to do when you have a headwind on this hole. We could have played it with some backspin and gone with OP and just let it roll onto the green. But, you know, I figured I wasn't having a great round anyway, so, you know, let me see what I can do with this shot. But that's it for this. You know, I'll see you in the final round on Saturday morning. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you're not a subscriber, please become a subscriber. Please hit the thumbs up button if you found it helpful. And then, like I said, I will talk to you all next Saturday. I hope you go out here and shoot a lot better than I did. Good luck, everybody.